Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Art of MMA. I'm Mike Ginn. That's the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino. Back in action for another week. We got a lot to talk about after Amanda Nunes got her crown back at 277 against Juliana Pena. We'll talk about that, break that down. Later on, we'll take a look coming up. They got the TUF Finale and Santos versus Hill in the UFC this weekend. UFC Vegas 59, I think the number is at this point. And then we also got PFL starting their playoffs, PFL 7. Featuring Anthony Pettis and Stevie Ray running it back in the main event in New York City. And then in the Battleground, right up Brandon's alley, we're going to talk about some of the stuff going on in kickboxing, the fighters crossing over to MMA. I'll get Brandon's opinion on all that, whether it's a good move, bad move. Is kickboxing having some political problems behind the scenes that is kind of causing all this? So I got the kickboxing expert right down his alley this week. No, this is not kicking it. This is Art of MMA. Before we get to all that, check out FightersFirst.shop. Get the mechanic collection. Get all the great stuff. Let our apparel be a part of your story. FightersFirst.shop. Brandon, how you feeling this week?
Feel good, man. It's good to be back with you. Talking some more MMA.
You excited about PFL finally getting the playoffs started? We've had a couple weeks off with them.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that they're starting this week. Right next to me in New York City. So it's always good to get going with the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. James Krause announced his retirement from MMA, which, kind of saw coming. He hadn't fought in a little bit since, I think, 2020. He was on like a 7 out of 8 fights or something he won. Like the only one he lost was at middleweight, not even welterweight. So congrats, James Krause. You had a great career. Shame he didn't get more title shots and more stuff in there. He had a really good career, though. And now he's even better coach. He's coaching champions left and right. So James Krause and Glory MMA got their thing going on. And before we hop in the show, I do want to take a second. I noticed the MMA show. I know y'all hate when we talk about something else, but this week, the legendary Bill Russell passed away, 88 years old. A few other people passed away, Nichelle Nichols and some other people. But to me, I'm a huge basketball fan. I don't know about Brandon. He's right there in New York City, so they might not like the Celtics stuff too much, New York, New Jersey. But Bill Russell was a great, great player, but he was a legendary person. This guy transcended everything from civil rights to, talking to presidents, getting involved in communities around the world, not only helping the NBA, but helping the culture in general. So Bill Russell, legendary person. Thank you for everything, Bill. God bless you. God bless your family. And, any thoughts on Bill Russell, Brandon?
And I mean, just, an ambassador of the sport. He is the embodiment of a teammate. He realized that, hey, let me let my teammates do what they do best, which is score, and I'm just gonna work on being defensive and getting rebounds to help us win championships. What I'm saying? He won 11 titles. So I mean
11 straight.
Yeah, so you can't knock him for that.
Can't compare eras, but man, that was a great player. But like I said, even more legendary person. Everybody from Kobe to LeBron, everybody looked up to Bill Russell as a person. Definitely a loss for the community, especially the basketball community. That said, Brandon, you ready to get to work?
Yeah.
All right. Last weekend did not go the mechanic's way. He had been kicking my ass lately in all the picks, but I did go 3-0. Both Tim and Dan went 2-1. Brandon 1-2. Brandon, you lashed your horse onto Juliana Pena. You jumped on that train, and Amanda Nunes came out UFC 277 and said, "I'm going to get my title back." And she did exactly what she said she was going to do. Won every single round, a couple 10-8s in there, depending on which judge was giving what. That's not to say Juliana Pena didn't have her moments. She threw up sub attempt after sub attempt after sub attempt. Amanda, after the fight, would go on to say, "I wanted it to go all 5. I wanted to prove a point. I wanted to prove I'm that much better." I don't necessarily believe that. I think if she could have finished her, she probably would have. But what were your thoughts on the action and on the fight?
It was a good fight. Nunes came out with a nice little wrinkle in the plan. She came out southpaw. I think that really threw out Juliana Pena because she really never had an answer for it. And and because she was still trying to throw her jab, going just straight ahead, Nunes was able to catch her with that right hand hook, and I dropped her a couple of times. You know, and I think that's really what dictated the fight. Like I said, you know, when you're fighting a southpaw, it's always about having that outside foot position. And Juliana Pena never did that. She never went to her left. She always just kept on going straight. And I think that's why Nunes always had the foot position, and she was able to get her strikes off, while Juliana Pena really did it. And then again, like I said, she dictated the pace. So which means like she never really got tired. And then maybe round, was it like the third round or something? She added in the wrinkle of doing the takedowns. Doing the takedowns, you know, judo trips, and then controlling her there, you know. But again, like I said, you know, you can't discredit Juliana Pena. She was in the fight the entire time. She never looked out of it. She was always in it. You know. So I'm saying, you know, she maybe lost the fight, but Amanda Nunes she was feeling Juliana Pena. You're just saying she came out, I think in the post-fight press conference, you know, with crutches, everything like that, you know, eye looking jacked up. So I'm saying she was feeling Pena. Pena let her know that she was there, but Nunes, you know, she had the game plan, and I really just don't think that Juliana Pena was able to really make the changes during the fight. So hats off to you.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see this trilogy. Like, you can say on paper Amanda dominated this one, but that's not how it went down if you watch the fight. Juliana was tough the whole time. Like you said, she didn't adjust, and maybe, you know, after some time off, you know, she has to, as Dana said, she has to have a chunk of her face, like her forehead, like replaced. Juliana downplayed that, said it wasn't that big of a deal. I'd be interested because the only other person left to fight Amanda at this point is Caitlin Vieira. And I don't know if that draws as many eyeballs. Caitlin's been up and down lately. She hasn't been like a dominant person to be sitting there at number 2. Juliana's still the number 1 contender. I would like to see this one run back for a trilogy. I will say Amanda looked a lot better. She looked fresh throughout all 5 rounds. She never looked tired. I think that was the point she was trying to portray, that she could go 5 rounds without looking tired. I will say 2 things that kind of bothered me about Amanda this fight. And I was on the Amanda train. I'm happy that Amanda won. But 2 things bothered me. She had some kind of dirty tactics. And I don't think it's illegal, but she would constantly, Amanda has some more, like, had her cornrows and stuff, right? And she would constantly be rubbing those into, like, Juliana's face and using her hair almost like as a weapon, like the tougher texture against Juliana's forehead, stuff like that. I've seen it before in fights. And to me, like, she kept, like, headbutting Juliana, and she kept, like, nudging her with her head and stuff like that, which I thought was a little bit more on the dirty side. But also, Amanda's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You wouldn't have been able to tell it by watching that fight. She never, almost, like, only one time I ever saw her grapevine the leg to keep Juliana from moving position. Like, Juliana was able to throw triangle after triangle, armbar after armbar, because Amanda never locked down the leg. I mean, at Tiger Schulman's, when you're teaching somebody grappling, isn't that like one of the first things you do when you're trying to, like, advance position is, like, trap a leg, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want to get your underhooks, you know, control the person, so that way you can try to pass. But again, like saying that maybe wasn't her game plan. Her game plan was just maybe, you know, to sit and guard and just work her ground and pound. You know, saying she has some nice elbows. You know, she has sliced up Juliana Pena a couple of times. So I mean, you know, her game plan was to just stay there. Like, I don't think she was trying to have a grappling match with Pena in there.
I just think as somebody who's a black belt, you should do the basics to protect yourself. Like, Juliana had all those submission attempts because of that one reason. She was able to throw her legs up anytime she wanted. Like, Amanda just sat in that guard, and she got caught in submission attempts she'd have to twist out of. She'd have to try to fight through. Almost every round that she was doing the grappling on top, she left herself vulnerable for a sub. And Juliana had it a couple times and just couldn't finish it. That's what kept this fight interesting. Honestly, this fight wouldn't have been as competitive if Amanda had just locked down that leg. Like, because the one time she did it, like, late in the 3rd round, she was basically raining elbows down on Juliana uncontested. Juliana had no counter because she couldn't move. And I think that's just basic. Like, you can say she wanted to stretch it 5 rounds, like she said, but I don't believe that. I think if she could have got her out in the 1st or 2nd round, she would have. That check, that's a new thing now. Sorry, Tim. It's a check right hook now, not a check left hook. Check right hook. Like, kept dropping Juliana every time she came in. So, fantastic fight. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you thought about it. Should we see a trilogy? I mean, Brandon, what's next if it's not?
I'm down for it. Like, I know a lot of people are talking about Shevchenko moving up, but I really have no interest in that fight, and I don't know why Nunes would either. She already beat her 2 times. There's no reason.
I don't think she does.
Fight her a 3rd time.
Shevchenko said something about not being impressed or something like that in the post fight, and Amanda replied like, "Who are you to talk? You actually lost your last fight. If not for that headbutt, Santos would have beat you." Mm-hmm. So it sounds like there's still bad blood there, and it definitely doesn't sound like Amanda's interested in that fight. She definitely wants to go home, take some time. She hasn't been back to Brazil in 3 years. She wants to go back, spend some time with her family, show off her baby, stuff like that. Take Nina back to Brazil. So I think it's going to be a while till we see Amanda back in the cage anyway. Maybe end of the year, maybe early next year, because we're already in the summer. So she's going to take 6-7 months off. That's already next year. So sorry, Dana. I know that's one of your pet peeves that you said yesterday. You hate when fighters become champion and then just take time off. But I think if any champion's earned it, it's probably Amanda Nunes fighting in 2 different divisions. If you still – do we still count the featherweight division? I know she carries the belt.
Yeah, it's still there.
Right. Well, until she defends that belt, I'm going to call that one dormant. In the co-main event, Brandon Moreno did what Brandon Moreno does, except this time Kai Kara-France definitely put up a fight. In the round that he finished him, Kara-France dropped him. Kara-France was actually doing some damage in that 3rd round, and then Brandon Moreno just turned it around with some vicious TKO. What did you think of that co-main event?
It was a good fight. Like I said, Brandon Moreno, saying I picked him to win, but Kai Kara-France came, saying he was piecing him up. Moreno was getting pieced up left and right. But the thing was, though, Moreno was investing to the body. He was hitting him in the body shots, from the beginning to the end. And it was a body shot that stopped Kai Kara-France at the end. Exactly. Like the thing you notice in that fight, Kai Kara-France was always circling to his right, and a good way to stop somebody when going to right is you can either throw your left hook or you can throw your left round kick. And Brandon Moreno, he threw his left round kick and he caught him.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a million times. The liver, when you hit the liver, your body shuts down. It's involuntary. There's not a toughness factor to it. If you get hit in the liver, your body shuts down. Now, some people can bounce back faster than others, but I've seen many UFC fighters drop to that liver kick. And it doesn't have to be even hard, right? It could just like your toes could hit it. And sometimes it could be shut down. So Brandon Moreno said he's been practicing that with James Krause, practicing that, the aforementioned Glory MMA in his time in Kansas City. He does still go back and forth to Tijuana because, like I said, that is his gym. He also pops into Vegas and Couture sometimes. But Brandon Moreno, another guy, just like Davison, right? Davison went to Henry Cejudo, upped his game a little bit. Brandon Moreno went to James Krause, upped his game. You got to keep advancing in the sport, keep learning, keep trying new stuff. George St. Pierre is famous for it, right? Like he had his TriStar gym, but then guess what? He went and worked at Jackson's for a little while and learned some new stuff. Even the best have to keep getting better because the game will catch up to you. And so I think it's a big deal. I have a problem with Joe Rogan during the fight saying this is for the real flyweight championship. That's not true. Davis and Figueiredo, whether you like it or not, is the champion. They had their little stare off, a little bit more polite than I think we thought it was going to turn into because Brandon Moreno just turned down the volume instantly when he said, I'm not about that life anymore. I'm going back to being humble Brandon, which I kind of talked about last week, right? And then Davis and Figueiredo follow suit. Now, afterwards, Davison said, all right, the beast is back. I'm ready to fight you. Looking at that fight, maybe December, November. Brandon wants it earlier. Davison kind of keeps pushing it back. So we'll see when that actually takes place. But we definitely are going to get the 4th fight for that one. But Brandon, what's up for Kai Kara-France? Like, where does he go after this? Because like I said last week, he's been kind of streaky. Does he face like Pantoja or Perez? Does Pantoja wait for the 4th fight to take place?
Yeah, I would say that Pantoja is waiting, but he could maybe fight. He could probably fight Alex Perez. Saying they're both coming off losses. That's usually what the UFC likes to do. If you're coming off a loss, they'll usually match you up. But sometimes they do go loss and a win. But that's what I could think of. But if I was Kai Kara-France, take some time off, go back home. You got that long flight to New Zealand, spend some time with your family, and maybe come back. In the fall. November, December time. Yeah,
and then like we said, well, I will say this. I'll hold it off for a second because we got to go down this card a little bit real quick. But it does look like we're going to get the 4th fight between Moreno and Figueiredo now. So that's cool. Also on this card, Pavlovich took care of Derek Lewis we're not going to talk much about it, but do you think it was a quick stoppage?
I mean, just the way how Derek Lewis fell, you can understand why Big Dan kind of stepped in and saying when you go face down, that usually means that you're out. But Derek Lewis did kind of pop back up as soon as he stopped it. So I mean, hey, you're saying the ref's job is the safety. The way how he fell, it looked like he was out. Big Dan, once you're already in there, you stop it. So
I know I'm gonna shock you by this. I think it was a good stoppage because Derek Lewis can throw a punch, but he can't take a punch. You saw it against Tua. You saw someone. He can't take a good punch. Like a good punch, a good hitter will knock him out. We saw it with Ginn. Saw it with Tua. We saw it now with Sergey. Sergey would have just kept hitting him. If the fight hadn't been stopped, he would have kept hitting him and it would have been stopped anyway. Derek had him rocked for a second, but once Sergey landed, you could see Derek's whole demeanor just change. And he was not ready for that smoke. So once Derek Lewis gets hurt, he's seen it in fights before. The guy's always dangerous. He can always land something while he's scrambling, but he usually goes down. And that's what happened in this one. My fight pick, just talked about Alex Pantoja. He took care of Alex Perez quick. He looks like he wants Brandon Moreno again. He's already beat Moreno twice. If the Figueiredo fight doesn't happen for whatever reason, Figueiredo moves up. He's not ready to go. I would love to see Moreno defend his interim title against Pantoja in the meantime, because I think that is a fight that has to happen. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I'd be down for it.
Your fight pick, you want to talk about this one? Ankalaev versus Anthony Smith. Only last couple rounds. Anthony Smith broke his ankle. He's going to have surgery soon. What do you think about the whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, Anthony Smith was in the fight, but then, he hurt his ankle. He was kind of out the done. Can't really fight on one leg. And that's really what happened was, he hurt his ankle. I think Ankalaev took his back and boom, he just started hitting him with the ground and pound. Anthony Smith couldn't move. Boom, you already saw when the fight was over, he kind of looked at his corner and was like, it's done. It's broken. And then that was it. And then you saw the medical staff coming in, just checking on his leg.
I'm almost relieved that he got hurt. And that's not to say I wish injury on anybody. But when I first saw the fight, I didn't know he hurt his ankle. I just kept seeing him try to pull guard, right? Like he'd fall down, pull guard, get knocked down, try to pull guard. And I didn't know why. I was like, why are you acting so defeated? Because I've never seen Anthony Smith fight like that. And then when I found out he broke his ankle, then it made more sense to me that, okay, this is why. Because I didn't see initially him break his ankle. I just, I saw him still keep fighting, and I saw that, he get knocked down and he would just lay there trying to pull guard because he didn't want to get back up. And I didn't know why. I'd never seen Anthony Smith fight like that. So as far as character-wise, I'm kind of almost relieved that I knew that it had to be an injury to keep him down. But Ankalaev looked great. Ankalaev, I think, would have won that fight regardless the way he came out firing. And now he's looking for a bigger fight at 205. So it'd be interesting to see what's next for him. Alex Moreno took care of Smellersberg by decision. Your boy Drew Dober got the win against Rafael Alves with a body shot. He got a performance bonus for that. Also, earlier, Alex Pantoja got the performance bonus as well. Dan's pick, Abdul Wahab, got the win over Mays, split decision. Kind of a close call, but I think most of the MMA journalists were all on the Hamdi bandwagon for that win. Tim's pick, Dakar Close, he got the got the win against Rafa Garcia. Then Morales over Fugit with the TKO. Jocelyn Edwards, we never know what to expect. She had an interesting split decision. I think most people thought Edwards won that fight as well. I can still not say this name a week later, but Nagum Aranu versus Patera, he got the TKO. And then Kache, who actually came in overweight, got the win over Mathea. What were some of your highlights on that card before we move on?
I mean, just like you said, man, Drew Dober, man, looked good. Definitely did his thing, had a nice body shot, and he got the job done. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what he wants some bigger, tougher competition too. Heard him throw out a bunch of names, so it'll be interesting what happens with Drew Dober coming up soon. All right, Brandon, that is UFC 277. Fans, leave a comment at home. Let us know what some of your highlights were on the card. What you think of the whole Amanda thing. Is Valentina next? Is Vera next? Are we going to see the trilogy? Let us know. Drop a comment. We'd love to hear you. Brandon will respond to you. I might hate on you. No, I'm just kidding. We'll both talk back. Brandon's more social than I am. All right, we're going to switch gears to Battleground. You guys have been loving it the last couple of weeks. Glad to have it back as part of the lineup. Battleground this week, we're talking about kickboxing. We're talking about Brandon's bread and butter. There's been a lot of crossover, if you want, of people coming over to MMA off and on throughout the years. It's not something brand new. Alex Pereira did it years ago, and he's kind of finally did it for real this time. Current Glory champion Cedric Doumbé announced last year his last fight was in Glory. He's done a couple MMA fights. He now has an MMA UFC fight scheduled for September 3rd in welterweight division. So it'll be interesting to see what Cedric Doumbé does. But the reason this popped up on my radar, Brandon, is because Artem Vahitov, did I say that right?
Yep, Vahitov.
Yeah, I watched Kicking It. I learned it. Artem Vahitov is a free agent. And with all the vaccines going stuff in Glory, he doesn't have any interest in re-signing right now. And he's talking about maybe making a fight in the UFC. I don't know if he can jump straight forward. Even Cedric Doumbé had to take a couple fights. Alex Pereira had to take a few fights before he got the call to UFC. But he is a big name in Glory kickboxing and kickboxing world in general. He's talking about going over to MMA because he's tired of all the behind-the-scenes stuff with Glory. Just recently, we saw the whole big brawl with Badr Hari and I'm going to butcher this one, but Rozek. Did I say that one right too?
It's just Rozek.
Rozek. Okay, Rozek, the Polish fighter. They had the big brawl, ended the card. Nothing got finished on the card. Didn't even get the main event. And then, while most people that were even there, including Tim Wheaton, who was actually there, kind of agree that it was actually Badr Hari's guys that kind of got everything really messed up. That the Polish guys were kind of saying to themselves, they just kind of finished the thing, I guess, if you want. But they didn't, even during the whole stoppage, everybody's calm down. Badr Hari's like, go, go, go. And then Rozek's the one that got released. He's the one that got released from Glory Kickboxing, which makes no sense because he's beating Badr Hari now. He was beating him then too. There were 2 fights in a row. Brandon, I'll let you get kind of started and give me your opinion, but do you think the exodus of kickboxing fighters coming over to MMA is only going to get more? Or do you think this is just like a couple big fighters making the move? And do you think any of the backstage politics and kind of corruption in kickboxing that goes all the way back to even the K1 days, the Ray Cepho days and all that stuff, do you think that plays a hand in it?
I mean, everybody's different, but I want to say no because with Alex Pereira, he always said that it was a goal of his to be in the UFC. Like there was a couple of years ago where he tried to be on TUF Brazil, the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, but he forgot that he was still under contract in Glory, so he couldn't do it. But then they let him go. They let him finish out his deal. So now he was able to go with there. Cedric Doumbé, I'm a little like that one I still don't know about. But with Vahitov, I mean, I didn't hear him say anything about MMA. I know that there was a photo of him
yesterday.
There was a photo of him in Singapore, and of course everybody was talking about like, okay, he's going to be hanging out in one, which of course one does have kickboxing. So that's where I can see him going. I don't see him doing MMA. I think he could have just been talking, just saying that just to say it.
Yeah, he said yesterday in an interview that he's not interested in re-signing with Glory right now. That he's heavily considering going to the UFC.
Yeah, let me know if that's really gonna happen.
That's just what he said. That's why.
Yeah,
I can't take the words and put them in his mouth. That's what he said. So
yeah, exactly. But I can see him going to one, kickboxing there. You're saying because I really want to say I don't think they really have a light heavyweight division really in their kickboxing. So I mean he could really go in there and be the face there. I mean there were a couple of guys these guys have been in kickboxing since they were so young, and so like a Murto Grunhart, even a Simon Marcus, they're well-known kickboxing guys. Even like a Gabriel Varga, he was in Glory, then he went to Bellator kickboxing, then he did some Bellator, MMA fights and stuff like that. But now though he's coming back doing karate combat. So I just say with these guys, man, they're just kind of just checking it out, seeing what's there to offer, trying new things, just challenging themselves.
Do you think the success of kickboxers like Israel Adesanya, the success of somebody like Valentina Shevchenko and Joanna Champion, who are both like big time kickboxers before they crossed over, the success of somebody like just recently, Alex Pereira, who now is like in line to fight for a title shot, who just came over. Cedric Doumbé, if he has success on September 3rd. Do you think when other kickboxers see this, especially if you're a kickboxer like Vakhitov, who beat Alex Pereira in his last fight, like do you think this, when he sees the success that he's having in MMA, do you think that drives more fighters to like say, let me try that?
I mean, it's like, again, like everybody's different. Like, I mean, it could, like, for instance, like Rozik, like, say he's from Poland. So I'm saying, so you see, like, say you saw Joanna Champion, you saw, I can't remember his name now, man. Polish Power, former champion from Poland.
Oh, Jean.
Yep.
Yeah,
Blachowicz. Yeah, so yeah. So because I think Rozik.
You stumbled. You made me stumble.
Yeah. So I think Rozik. He now signed with KSW. So he's gonna be doing that. He's trying his hands in MMA. But again, like, to me, I feel like everybody's different. Like, you got those people who are just like, oh no, I just want to kickbox. Like you see, like Alistair Overeem, he was doing real well in MMA, but you see he's coming back to kickboxing now. So to me, I just feel like, man, there's people in combat sports who are just kind of just dabbling. They're just switching things up. Trying new things. Like you see like Usman is trying to get a boxing match. With Canelo. Nate Diaz, he wants to box with Jake Paul. The same. It's just, to me, these guys are all just trying to switch out. Maybe get some money grabs here and there if they can. If they have the name and stuff like that. But
well, I'm glad you mentioned money, and that was actually one of my last questions for you about this subject. Is that we know a lot of the UFC guys and Conor McGregor, Usman, stuff like that, want to go boxing because of the money. Jake Paul, like stuff like that. Canelo, Floyd Mayweather. Conor changed his life by having that Floyd fight. Whether you like the fight or didn't like the fight or whatever, they may even have a second one. It was life-changing money for Conor McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
Totally ended his MMA career for all intents and purposes because he hasn't been the same guy since. But he's got more money in his pocket than he ever knows what to do with. Do kickboxing guys make the same as MMA guys, or is that a step up financially for them to go from kickboxing to like glory to UFC?
That's the thing, man. Like, it's so crazy because
and I'm only asking because I really honestly don't know what kickboxers make.
Yeah, no, it's the same. Actually, me and Tim were actually having a conversation about this off air, where we were talking about it, because the thing is, like, because you think about it, like, of course everybody knows, like, UFC, all right, you make the big bucks there, but you have somebody like a Cedric Doumbé. He went on the local circuit scene of MMA. He had 2 fights there, but like you would think that, to me, Glory would be paying you more than the local MMA scene. But the thing is, like, you really don't know what kickboxers are making because everybody's different, and also too, their way of living in Europe is so different, because that's something I was talking about, because there's another guy in the Glory who's a heavyweight, but you saw him, like, he just got himself a new BMW, but maybe though he lives out in Europe, where, and like out in Romania, we're like a BMWs are like a dime a dozen, while here in the States, if you get a BMW, that's a luxury car, but maybe in Europe a BMW isn't a luxury car. Maybe maybe over there, if you get a Ford, that's a luxury car for them or something like that. So things could be different where, for us, like I said, saying, because if you're going to UFC and you're just starting out, you're going 12-12. You would think somebody like an Alex Pereira, like a Cedric Doumbé, they were at least making, $50K in a Glory fight. But again, though, nobody knows, because you can't find out what is that people are making unless you probably Percy ask somebody in the about behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's not published as much. And I would also think the one advantage I think that something like the UFC has is the American market, where you're talking now endorsement deals. You're talking about deals with like Monster Energy and Budweiser and anybody else they do work with, right? I think that as like a side hustle, making marketing money, putting your face on American audiences is also a big deal. When you're on a billboard in New York City, you're known globally, whereas you main event a fight in, say, France, you might be a big deal in Europe, but they might not know you in America, and you're not making that extra money. So I think money might have something to do with it. Do you think and I think I already know your answer because of the way you've been going with this conversation. Do you think the corruption, like, with boxing promoters, kickboxing promoters, Glory's had a number of issues behind the scenes. They just had that, the Glory Rivals card got canceled or delayed. They blamed it on local promoters. With everything going kind of crazy behind the scenes at kickboxing, do you think that's also pushing people to MMA?
It could, but again, though, like everything, because I know we're talking about Glory because Glory's the big name, but you see everything going on with one. They've been putting on their shows with their kickboxing champions, and then Glory just announced a whole schedule of shows that they're doing in the fall. So to me, I feel like everybody is just kind of picking up on things, with the whole pandemic and everything like that. Like I think Glory is trying to get themselves in order. I think they got themselves a new PR person now and everything like that. So I mean, they're changing things, in the back. I guess sort of say to kind of help with their image, help get some more PR going to help promote the sport and everything like that.
Yeah, as far as what I know, I would say, and I know Battleground's usually more of a debate, and this is more informational because I'm kind of trusting Brandon's opinion on a lot of this stuff. I will say the person that benefits most is One. I think One has their shit together. I think the way they run their organization, especially their kickboxing, the way they're doing these mixed cards, you see people like Rodtang and Muay Thai mixing it up with DJ and getting these mega cards. I think One is really the one benefiting the most. Petrosian and all those guys in One. Stamp Fairtex, like the females, like One's doing it right. And they have more and more talent to keep putting up there. I think Alistair went back to Glory for a payday and for maybe like a way to go out and walk off in the sunset because he was struggling in MMA, especially in the higher level. Because you got to remember, going into MMA is not, we see it with Michael Venom Page and how he lost to Logan Story because, takedowns, right? You saw Israel Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz because of takedowns. If you can strike, you have a chance to put somebody out early. But if you can't wrestle, you can't defend yourself, then you're going to be a victim. We saw it with back in the day when James Toney came in from boxing to fight Randy Couture. There's a lot more. It's called mixed martial arts. It's kickboxing's part of that. Boxing's part of that. People seem to forget that. They think, MMA is its own sport. It's not. It brings all these elements, and you need to know a little bit of all of them to be, if nothing else, to defend yourself. You could be an expert striker, but you need to be able to defend yourself because the other person across you is an expert at something else. And maybe they put two strikers together and the better one wins. But eventually you're going to have to fight a wrestler. And what happens when they just ankle pick you because they don't want to get hit by you? So it's interesting. I think actually more people are more likely to go to One than they are to come to MMA. But I am excited to see Cedric Doumbé on September 3rd. I think that's going to be a fun fight. He is a dynamic striker. I'm looking forward to that. I know Brandon's talked him up quite a bit, so I started looking more and more about him in YouTube. I became a fan, so I'm a fan of that. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to Pereira and Adesanya going at it for the middleweight title. I think Adesanya is way more well-rounded, but Pereira can put you out with that left hook anytime. So we'll see. A lot of fun stuff. See what happens with Vahaitov. See what happens with Rozek. A lot of cool stuff. I think if anybody built for it, it'd probably be Badr Hari just because of his antics, that Conor McGregor type feel of like marketing himself. But we'll see what happens. Leave a comment below. Let us know. What do you think? Let us know. All right, Brandon, we're going to do some previews and get out of here for the day. Starting off, PFL 7. Time for the playoffs. We got Anthony Pettis running it back against Stephen Ray. He just lost to Stephen Ray. They're going to run that back over in the co-main event. We got Akhmedov versus Silveria in the light heavyweight division. We'll start off the main event. I'll start with you. Anthony Pettis, did he learn anything from the loss with Stevie Ray, or is this going to be a repeat?
I'm going with Anthony Pettis. Like I said, I think Anthony Pettis was doing well in that fight before Stevie Ray kind of changed things up on him. But again, he comes from a good gym. Duke Rufus. I think he'll be ready this time around.
I actually slept on Stephen Ray the first time. I didn't think so. I think who is this guy, right? They're feeding him to Anthony Pettis so he can, have a big second season versus the trouble he had in the first season. But Stephen Ray impressed me in that first fight. He didn't back down from Anthony Pettis at all. He was able to do things Anthony Pettis was uncomfortable with. He had Anthony Pettis kind of in different positions. He just really wasn't comfortable. I think Anthony Pettis is kind of a one-trick pony at this point in his career. He wants to be able to get you into some position and get a sub and go about his business. He's not as fast of a striker as he used to be. He's not like Showtime Anthony Pettis anymore. I think he's more of a chiseled veteran. And I think Stephen Ray has the advantage because I think he just fought him. He just beat him. You got to have confidence coming right back your very next fight and fighting the same guy, not even a year later, but literally like a month later. And that's not enough time for Anthony Pettis, I think, to make adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead with Stephen Ray, see if I can keep this train rolling. I went 3-0 last week, but we all know I do better with my UFC picks than I do my other picks. I'm just going to throw that out as a warning. Over in the co-main event, we got Akhmedov versus Silveria. Silveria is undefeated, Brandon. Does that streak end now, or does he keep it going?
Yeah, that streak ends, man. He's taking the L. I'm going with Akhmedov. He's getting the job done, man. Just going to smash him and call it a day.
You think it's going to be that easy?
I mean, I could see second or third round, but I think he's going to just control him, ragdoll him, and like I said, I could see a ground and pound finish. Second or third round. I don't think first round stoppage. I won't. I'll give Silveira his due, but I just think he's going to take an L.
The thing with Silveira is that we just don't know much about him, right? Silveria, I'm sorry, not Silveira. Yeah. Silveria, we just don't know much about him, right? But he does come from a tough background. He fought through LFA. He had Titan. He's done some of the tougher regional scenes here that we have in the country. He came in, looked great last year in the Challenger Series, earlier this year, and got himself into this tournament, went through Martin Hamlet like it was nothing. And here he is fighting a veteran like Akhmedov. I'm going to take a chance on the kid. I think, kid, he's 29 years old. But I'm going to take a chance on the guy. He's fought some tough guys. He finishes most of them. Only one decision out of his 9 wins. And as far as I know, I don't think he's ever really been threatened. I think his submission game is on point, a lot of rear naked chokes. And I think the only downside to Akhmedov usually is that he leads with his face. He got knocked out by Jordan Young, had the split decision loss to Brad Tavares in the UFC. Chris Weidman. He's lost to some top-level competition, and he was in the UFC for a long time. But I don't know. I just got a feeling. I'm going to go ahead and take the kid, take Silveria in this one for the upset. Who's your fight to watch in this one?
I'm going with lightweight semifinal. I'm going with Alban Mercier versus Martinez, and I'm picking the Canadian gangster to get the job done.
All right, yeah, that's a good, tough fight. I think both those guys are definitely going to bring the brawl. That might even be fight of the night. I was leaning towards that one as well until you said it. My fight pick of the night is going to be Corey Hendricks and Martin Hamlet. Hamlet pulled off, a little bit of an upset last year, got some injury help as well. But Corey Hendricks has been steady for a while. He's only lost one fight recently, and that was to another UFC vet, Chris Camozzi. Nasruddinov is another tough guy he lost over in Russia to. But he's been, fighting some of the tougher competition around the globe, a lot of the Russian fight leagues. And then he knocked out Sorty. He ran through Sorty. And Sorty is no joke. So I'm going to take Corey Hendricks in this fight over Martin Hamlet. I actually switched it up as I was thinking more about this as the show went on. I think I'm going to go with Corey Hendricks. I think that's going to be a good fight, a good brawl, and I think Corey's got the better advantage. Real quick, also on that card, Rob Wilkinson fighting Delon Monte, Marcelo Nunez, Dylan Potter. We got Zurcher versus Jimenez, Espinoza versus Jackson, Brigande versus LeBron Quiles, Faze versus Babalute, and then Barbosa versus Umarov. Not a lot on paper on that card, Brandon, for their playoff debut in New York City before they head over to the UK. But a lot of these cards that we say, like we talk about UFC with the fight nights, sometimes the cards you don't expect all of a sudden blow your mind. So I do trust when it comes to Ray Cepho and the booking crew putting together some of these fights. They gave us some entertainment fights, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one and enjoy the fights. It's taking place on the 5th debut of their playoffs. All right, Brandon, last thing before we get out of here, UFC Vegas 59, a.k.a. the TUF Finale of the Pena Nunes season. We got Thiago Santos and Jamahal Hill in the main event. We also got lost my card. We also got Luque and Jeff Neal. So some great fights at the top of the card. And then we got the UFC TUF finales, Muhammad Usman versus Zach Paga, and then the ladies, Brogan Walker versus Juliana Miller. Go ahead and start off in the main event, Brandon. Tell me your pick. Who's it going to be, Thiago Santos or Jamahal Hill?
I mean, Jamahal Hill had a good victory his last fight, but I'm still going to go with Thiago Santos, man. I'm still riding with the guy. I know he's coming off a loss as well, but I don't know. I just think we're going to get two dudes who if they're going to stand in there and bang like that. I think Thiago Santos still has the power ball. So too, though, to me, Thiago Santos has. I think in the was it 2 fights ago where he did get the win against Johnny Walker. You know, he did have his takedowns in there. He did control them. So I think he could maybe get Jamahal Hill on the ground and maybe get a sub.
Well, okay, so that's something we haven't seen in a while from Thiago. And honestly, since that John Jones fight, we haven't seen Thiago Silva. Like he did his thing against Johnny Walker, but Johnny Walker hasn't been the same since he got dropped either. I don't remember the last time we saw Johnny Walker being like show off type Johnny Walker. He's lost 4 out of 5 fights. But once again, you look at the people he's lost to, there's like no shame in that, right? John Jones, Glover, Alexander Rakic, Ankalaev. But when will the real Thiago come back from those devastating knee injuries he had in John Jones? He doesn't move the way he used to. He doesn't necessarily fight with the confidence he used to. And Jamahal Hill, the only person that stopped him was Paul Craig when he wrapped him up like a pretzel and dislocated his arm. Anybody goes toe-to-toe on their feet, Jamahal Hill is dropped. So I'm going to go ahead and take Jamahal Hill in this fight because I think Thiago's going to get in a slugfest with him because that's more of Thiago's alley. And I think Jamahal Hill has the faster, stronger hands. I think Jamahal Hill's going to drop him. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody outside of Jan Blachowicz stop Thiago, or I guess Jimmy did as well. Jimmy knocked him out, Jimmy Manawa. But that was a few years ago. Like, this is a tough dude. He ran through everything John Jones had to offer and never backed up with 2 torn knees. So I find it hard to get a stoppage against him, but I do think Jamahal Hill's going to get the win, and I think it's going to be pretty easy. Probably a 30-27 type thing. Or, sorry, 5 rounds. So it could go all 5. Actually, I take it back. I don't think it's going all 5. I think Jamahal will drop him before the 5th. That's a lot for either one of those guys to go 5 rounds. On the co-main event, we got a couple other UFC veterans. Vicente Luque, who's been a welterweight contender now for a while. Jeff Neal's always fun to watch. Who takes this one?
I like Jeff Neal, but he hasn't been the same in a while himself. To me, Vicente Luque is the better overall fighter. I mean, Jeff Neal does have the power; he can stop you. But Vicente Luque is a violent guy. He's there for the violence as well. So I'm picking Luque. I think he'll get the job done. Like I said, I think he has more tools. That's it.
I'm torn on this one because on paper, I would take Vicente Luque all day long. But I remember that last fight against Belal Muhammad where Belal Muhammad kept taking him down. And he just took him down at will. And I think Jeff Neal, can take him down at will. But will Jeff Neal try to stand and bang more than he should? Because you're going to stand and bang Luque, I'll put him to sleep. So it really comes to, like, is Jeff Neal going to be smart and wrestle this guy? Or is he going to go out like he did against Ponzinibbio? Like, he stayed away from trouble against Ponzinibbio. But Luque is so much more talented. I really have a tough time with this one. I'm going to take Luque, but I'm not positive with that pick. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not positive with that pick. I'm going to take Luque in that one. Instead of doing our fight picks for this one, we decided to wrap up by taking a look at each of the TUF Finale fights. In the men, we got the heavyweights. In the final, Kamaru Usman's brother, Muhammad Usman, he's going against Zach Puaga. Zach is undefeated. We've seen Usman in the big leagues before with PFL. Now he's getting a shot at the UFC. Brandon, what are we expecting this?
I'm going with Zach Puaga to get the job done. He really fights at light heavyweight, but for the show it's at heavyweight, so he fought in there. I think he's the faster, more dynamic striker than Usman. Like, Usman does have power, but he really, if you watch the show, he really only throws one shot here and there, one jab, overhand right. And I think Puaga is just gonna light him up, man. Same. Puaga goes with people like Curtis Blades. That's who he trains with. So if you got somebody like that helping you back at the gym, I think you'll be all right. So like I said, I'm going with Puaga. I can see him piecing up Usman. He maybe could get a stoppage in the second or third round.
I still remember Muhammad Usman fighting Brandon Sales in the PFL, and he looked horrible. Brandon Sales, an aging veteran, part-time Army guy, or military. I'm not sure if it was Army, military. Come in, fight a couple fights. We looked at it like, who is this guy? He hasn't fought in years. Come in, he made Usman look horrible. Made him look horrible, like he didn't even belong on that level. And then he comes in this season, and I haven't been watching the season that much, but I know a lot about both these guys. And, Usman did his thing and got to the finals. But I'm still not convinced of this guy. The biggest question, like you said, Zach Puaga trains with Curtis Blades. He's a 34-year-old fighter with 5 fights. He's fought LFA. He's fought overseas in Cage Warriors. Never lost a fight, but he hasn't really fought a top-level guy either. But my question is, what has he been doing for 34 years? Because to only have 5 fights at your life at 34 and trying to make a chance of this, I feel like there's a lot more combat experience that we don't know about, right?
He was a police officer.
Which then there you talk about training, same thing like people that have been in the military, how they're always training MMA, training other forms of combat and grappling. I don't think Usman has what it takes to compete at the toppest level. I think he has knockout power, and I think that's it. I don't think he's, he has the gas tank. If Puaga tries to drag him 3 rounds, I don't think he has the gas tank for it. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take Zach Puaga in this one. I think he's got more skill set, especially if you're training with a top-level wrestler like Curtis Blades. That made up my mind for you because all you got to do is wrestle Usman. Take him down, wear him out. The other finale in the ladies, right up the king of the ladies division, got Brogan Walker versus Juliana Miller. Brogan's got a little bit more of a resume, but Juliana Miller's got a little bit more flash. What do you think?
Man, this was a tough one. I actually like both ladies on the show, but I'm going with Walker. Just like you said, man, I think she's a better overall martial artist, better overall fighter. But Juliana Miller, she's just tough, just like Juliana Pena was this past weekend. Like, this girl will make it a dogfight. She will walk through your punches and just keep on coming. Like, you have to separate her from consciousness. And I'm not really sure if Walker has the power to do that. But she also, though, is good on the ground. So is Miller. So I mean, she could maybe try to take her down, control her, and it could be a grappling match. But I'm just gonna go with Walker to get the job done.
My biggest question on this is, does Juliana Miller have the hands? Because if she has the hands, Brogan Walker's in trouble. Because Walker's 2 losses, Aaron Blanchfield and Pro Gonzalez, who their main skill set is being able to punch you. They're not takedown experts. They're not going to grapple you. They want to fight you and strike with you. We saw Pearl go to BKFC. We see Aaron Blanchfield doing what she's doing now. She gets the win by submission. Like, I think that's the worst matchup for Juliana Miller is another girl that can sub her, right? And go to wrestling with more experience. But I got a feeling about this one. I got a feeling about Juliana Miller. Like you said, she's so tough, and she'll bring the excitement to the fight. I think Juliana Miller's going to get it done. She's more up and coming. Brogan's getting a little bit older. I think she's like 34 at this point. So I'm going to give Juliana Miller the edge in this one. But it should be a very competitive fight. See who gets the contract. Real quick, also on this card, Augusto Sakai and Sergey Spivak is going to be a heavyweight war. Your girl Ariana Lipsky going against Priscilla Cochera. That's going to be a great little fight at flyweight. Sam Alvey, I don't know how he still has a job. I love the guy, but he loses so many fights. Maybe this will be the last fight against, I can never say Michelle's name. Oleksichuk. That's it. John, I need you to give me a call. John Anik, I need you to tell me how to pronounce his name because I butcher it every time. Terrence McKinney versus Eric Gonzalez, Brian Battle and Takahashi Sato, Jason Witt versus Kinlan, Corey McKenna and Miranda Granger, Bueno Silva and Stephanie Egger. I mean, this card for a TUF Finale, a fight night card, this card is stacked. Any final thoughts on this card before we get out of here? Anything really like stands out to you?
No, looking forward to seeing how Terrence McKinney bounces back from his loss against Drew Dober. Yeah, he was definitely on the up. He was definitely on the uptrend. Until he got stopped by Drew Dober. So let's see how he bounced back. And then, of course, speaking of the Ultimate Fighter over here, you got Brian Battle who won who won the Ultimate Fighter. So let's see how his progression is. And then of course, you know what I'm saying, you starting out with two lady fights. That's all, that's always a good time as well.
Two good lady fights.
Mhm.
I mean, Bueno Silva and Egger is no joke. McKenna and Granger, I'd like to see which Granger shows up, because we were talking about her possibly being a contender not too long ago. And then up on the card, Ariana Lipsky, like, she has all the talent in the world. We just don't know which version of her shows up either. She's got a tough matchup. So a lot of good lady fights. And also that Jason Witt Kinlan fight's going to be a fun fight too. Kinlan's an undefeated fighter going against a vet like Jason Witt. So that's going to be a fun fight too. A lot of good stuff. Check that out. That is on Saturday night, August 6th in the Apex. So check that out. That is our show, folks. Tell us your thoughts. Leave a comment. Let us know who your picks are. Let us know what you think about the whole kickboxing transition to MMA and all that stuff. And then tell us your thoughts on that war that we had last weekend with Nunes and Pena and the other stuff that happened. We want to hear from you. Leave a thought. And also, as Brandon always says, make sure you like, hit that subscribe button. And then talk to us on Twitter. Talk to us on Instagram. Let us know. We want to engage with you guys. I am definitely way more on the Fighters First social media. If you leave it on the Art of MMA, I will see it. It just might not be right away. If it's on Fighters First, I usually see it right away because I'm involved so much with the clothing line as well as doing the other shows as well. So check that out. Go over to Fighters First, get the merch. I got the Art of MMA shirt on. He's got the Mechanic shirt on. Check out all that great stuff. Support the fighters. Support the officially licensed collections. And like I said, let our apparel be a part of your story. For the Mechanic, Brandon Cuttino, I'm Mike Ginn. This is Art of MMA. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll see you next week. We're out.